life after episode 6, man. The time's flying, right?
Man, it's flying, brother. How you feel?
I'm feeling good. We
That's
got our boy
wonderful.
Cliff here today, man. And like I said, life after sports was Cliff. A little something about me and James. Life after sports was
Created.
it was put together for us to be able to give people a platform after our playing, days were over. And he says life after sports. Everyone doesn't have to be an athlete, but it also gives you a safe and a platform, for you to tell your story and your walk. So it's a situation where, me knowing you and shortcomings, and I want to say thank you for agreeing to come on and share your story because, first of all, it's a testament to you to be humble enough and candid enough to be open to let us into your world. You know what I mean? And I know what type of cat you are. And like you said, maybe your words and your story can help save someone else from the heartache that you had to go through. So if you want to just introduce.
I appreciate you guys having me on for sure. And, my story is really twofold. I am not only the life after sports, but my life after sports turned into, my moniker on TikTok, which is life after prison. I'm very candid about my story because to me it's easy to talk about because I say the only people that are ashamed to talk about their past are the people not confident in their present. I'm confident in who I am in my present and what I'm trying to do out here. So it's very easy to share my story to try and help some others that kind of walk in the same path that I went down.
So tell us about, growing up, childhood, start from the beginning and, give us that walk and tell us, just explain to the people, from an early age, how you got engaged in sports, where you grew up, where you're born at, what type of environment you're from. Just give them a little history of, who you are as a person,
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's part of why I think my story resonates with a lot of people because, I don't have the stereotypical story of someone that ended up in prison. I grew up very, surrounded by my parents, went to school. I went to private grade school, high school, and athletics ran deep in my family through my brother, through my dad. They were both baseball players. And I grew up in an environment where, I was very much, family oriented. My dad was my little league coach, middle school coach, and I transitioned obviously into high school where I had a lot of success. Went from there straight into college ball, where I had a lot of success. Originally, I'm from Youngstown, Ohio, so I grew up Northeast Ohio. I went to Youngstown Ursuline High School, and then ended up going to college, JUCO route, NAIA ball. But again, my childhood is very, your stereotypical. I had a good family upbringing. Private school, good grades, no trouble, never been in trouble in my life. And I did, the stereotypical everything right by the book, by what society would call, right. I didn't really make any missteps. And that carried me all the way through high school, college, and into my professional playing career, which is, when that kind of went by the wayside is where my life kind of took some missteps and I kind of came off the rails a little bit. Not even a little bit, a lot.
Well, I think we all have, but, some get caught, some don't get caught, some, are able to, survive, surround themselves with their armor, so to say, as their protection, you know what I mean? For people to look out for them, you know what I mean? To keep them out of harm's way sometimes. But, tell us, high school, did you, the position you played, because I know your story. So this is for you to, what made you, start to spiral down, the direction you went down.
So it's funny. I did an interview a couple weeks ago, and the person interviewing me said, it seemed like I didn't tell people that, hey, my name's Cliff Panezich, I play baseball. It's more so I identified as a ball player. Like that was my full through and through identity. From the age I was 5 through when my playing career ended, I was just a ball player. That's what I wanted to do. That was my dream and aspiration. Just like I'm sure yours was. When you're, 5, 8, 10 years old, what's your goal to be in the big leagues? Well, I had the same big league dream aspirations, and that's what I aspired to do. And that's what kind of kept my life on track. I was just so focused on baseball. School came easy, so I kind of cakewalked through school, but it was all baseball and training. I was a catcher pretty much all my life, which, we talked about off camera, which is why at age 38, I physically can't get out of bed some mornings. And I know I know you guys know what that's like. So I was a catcher for 16 years, like I said, through high school, through college. And, I ended up going the independent ball route, got signed into professional baseball, where I pretty much had an injury that, derailed my career. I tore my rotator cuff. And that's really where, when when you have people around you tell you you're good enough and you are good enough, you make that first step into, professional athletics, and then your body kind of takes it away from you mentally. That's very difficult to deal with. And you even see it, at the highest level. You even see guys that, when they retire, not from injury, just because their career is over, struggle with what's next. All I knew in my life was baseball. And what did I replace it with? And that's the issue. I replaced it with all the wrong things, which was chasing money, women, partying, gambling. And that's really where, my life goes off the rails. And to me, it's funny because, I never dealt with any kind of substance issue or anything, but I would always say that I'm addicted to competition, right? And baseball fulfilled that for me through and through. And when I lost baseball, what did I replace it with? Well, it ended up being gambling is what the addiction that took over. And that's really what kind of took me down, the treacherous slopes of like, what's it take to gamble every day? A bundle of money. And that's kind of where the crime facilitates and proliferates from.
Okay, so, I don't want to say what was your, not necessarily drug of choice, but what was your game of choice? You know what I mean? So you went from not being able to play because of your body and just mentally, like you said, me at 39, retiring after 16 years in the big leagues, you go home to taking your kids to school every single day. But still that competitive fire, what do you replace that with? At 39, I took up the game of golf, and everybody I was playing with was 60 or 70 because everybody else was working, you know what I mean? But hey, man, the struggle's real too because it's real for me. They always say you have to replace one habit with another habit, but hopefully it's a good habit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, James can talk to you a little bit, because his path has been different too. All of ours are. I don't want anyone to sit here and think that, we're judging anyone because you know what? I'm still making mistakes every day of my life. I've made a ton of mistakes. I wish there were things I could take back, but you know what? Hopefully I'll learn from those, those trials, and they made me into the person I am now. And so at what age did you you lean towards the
gambling,
the gambling or the drug, if that was
where
your
did,
drug
where did
of
it
choice?
go off the rails, basically, right?
Yeah, where did it go off the rails? How old were you, and when did it start to spiral?
Yeah, so I went from college in the professional ball in the Can-Am League independent ball. I was 22, had a very successful rookie season, and I'm kind of set up to possibly sign into affiliated ball in the offseason, and I find out I got 2 tears in my rotator cuff. But that's not really where I go off the rails because at that time I still have my aspirations. I think I'm going to come back from my surgery and be strong and get back in. And it was like probably 3 or 4 years of like still playing low level baseball till like I really accepted like my body wasn't the same. I knew I wasn't the same player. I became, my career transitioned from where I'd step on the field and know I'm the best player out there to where now I'm just one of the guys. And it's at that point that I know I'm not really progressing in my career and I'm just, kind of fighting the hands of time and my body isn't what it is. And I always say the 2 things I'm really addicted to were attention and the competition, and baseball fulfilled both.
Right.
So when my career is really over, when I finally accepted completely is I'm 26. The crime is already going on a little bit. And it's at that point in time where I really dive in and, I replaced the competition with gambling. I was a big sports bettor, but blackjack is kind of my downfall in Jones. And I replaced, for the attention, it's, hitting the nightclubs and, the Vegas scene out here. It's hitting the nightclubs and the velvet ropes and the bottle service and tables and the women. And, I was still a kid when I moved out here. I moved out to Vegas. I was 28, fresh out of my career, making some money. and it was very easy to get tied into that. And I was dove full into that lifestyle every night. So it was party every night, run my crime by day, and it just rotated like that, like Groundhog's Day, day in and day out. And that's what I did really, until it all came crashing down.
Yeah, when you say crime by day, but still, what was the crime by day? You know what I mean? When did it start? When you woke up, what was the crime? I understand the lifestyle at night. I understand the party and the bottle service because we all we live out here in Vegas, and hey man, it can get you. You know what I'm saying? It can get you, but like. Where I live, I mean, we don't even see the strip when you live here. You know what I mean?
Right. That's weird for me to hear him say he lived out here and then he was going through that stuff, going to the strip. I mean, I just can't imagine doing it. But then we got to look at it like this, though. We moved out here as older men. He was still in his young age. He was in his 20s, man. And to be in the 20s and still have a bunch of money in Las Vegas, man, it's a lot of things. But what Greg is trying to get to is how – what's the adjustment when you started your crime in a day? How long did it last? Did you do it for a certain part of your day, or did you just like, okay, I'm gonna do everything I can do so I can survive tonight? You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Well, I mean, what do you?
Just
go ahead, bro.
just to touch on the crime a little bit for the viewers,
Right.
The crime was labeled as Operation Stolen Base by the feds and by my prosecutor, which is, allegedly one of the largest sports memorabilia frauds in U.S. history. And it started as a legitimate business. This is what I was doing on the side while I was in high school, while I was in college, while I was even in my professional playing career. As you guys probably know, low-level minor league baseball, independent ball. People think you're making money, but you're not making money, right? I'm on the road playing 13 games in 14 days, getting paid $800 a month. In the off season, getting paid $0. But to try and advance in my career, I'm still paying for trainers and hitting facilities and my diet, and I got to train every day. So what I did was I was really hustling sports memorabilia on the weekend, and this is back in like 2008, 9, 10, to where I'm paying college players before the days of the name, image, likeness, and all that. So the story that came out about Johnny Manziel getting paid in Florida for all the autographs, I was part of that. Part of my money was in that deal. I knew about that story 8, 9, 10 years ago. The stuff that came out with Ohio State, I was paying those kids down there, kids from Penn State, and it was a legitimate operation. I'm hustling autographs, selling them on eBay on the weekend, in my training, by day during the week. And then there really just comes a point in time, and this is documented. There's a Sports Illustrated, attached to my story, which you guys will tag in the comments and everything. There's just a transition in like 2010 where I kind of crossed that line where, I start selling a little bit of forgeries. It's a lot of real stuff. I'm adding a couple forgeries to it just to kind of keep up with, finances and bills and just being able to survive. But once that line was crossed, it just proliferated over the years, and it became a 5-year scam that just grew and grew and grew and snowballed to the point where by the time I'm out here in Vegas, when I say it was crime by day, it was, wake up at noon, sell counterfeit sports memorabilia from noon till 8 o'clock, start drinking at 8, hit the club at midnight, out till 6, sleep till noon, do it again 6, 7 nights a week. That's how I lived. That was every single day. And it's funny because was I making money? Absolutely. But in a sense, I was still so far beyond my means living that lifestyle. I was living paycheck to paycheck. My paycheck to paycheck was just bigger than a normal paycheck. I'm still, whatever money I'm making throughout the week, by Sundays, probably gone on bottle service and limo service and tables and, whatever else you could imagine out here in Vegas.
Well, would you don't mind if I ask you, what was you making a day?
I was doing anywhere from like 15 to 25,000 a month.
Okay.
So, and that was, to me, that's what I was making. there's another, about 15 people involved in the case that were all making less than that were under me. But they're all getting their, their memorabilia from me. So it became a big case where, they call it, I ended up getting charged with racketeering, engaging in a pattern of corrupt activity in Ohio, but it became a RICO case.
Right.
And in the county I'm from, Youngstown, Ohio, they call it the biggest criminal enterprise that they ever brought down. There's about 15 people involved, which is crazy that I got hit with a racketeering charge for really on the surface what is forgery. But they took it serious, and I ended up doing 6 years over it. It was serious.
That was serious. That was really serious, man.
So they got you with racketeering. Was it also tax evasion and forgery, or what?
Yeah, so I got the whole gamut of charges. I got racketeering, forgery, money laundering, identity theft, ag theft, telecommunications fraud.
So basically, you was the example. They was trying to make you an example.
Yeah, I was facing 47 years when it came down to it. So
I know that was tough on your life, man, and especially as a young man living out here in Vegas, and you trying to live up to the life of a professional ball player or just a professional anything. You know what I'm saying? And to be able to have the means to do the things you want to do at 26, and your career is over, and you're like, man, my career shouldn't be over. I should have accumulated something. And you found a way to accumulate some things, but then it kind of got off the rails due to the fact of, I'm waiting on you.
Oh, gambling, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Gambling sends me off the rails. That's definitely the main component of what facilitated the snowball of my crime. But it really goes back to the sport and me being an athlete. And again, it's when you have something taken away from you, not because you're not good enough,
right,
but because your body fails you mentally. That's a very difficult thing, to first accept. I was really in denial at first, trying to extend my playing career when I knew, deep down, I probably knew I couldn't play anymore. But then really, you feel like not only you didn't just let yourself down, you let other people down. I felt like, at times I let my family down because I was on this trajectory to be successful in the one thing I wanted to do with my life. And then at the most inopportune time, my body's just like, we had enough. We had enough. And that's very difficult to comprehend, to accept. And the decisions I made after that, are a direct result of that. And that's not to make an excuse for my actions, right? But I think very few people wake up in the morning and they're like, hey, I'm going to commit crime today. I want to be a criminal, or I want to be an addict, or I want to be addicted to X, Y, or Z. There's always an underlying reason. And I think that's the big problem with the criminal justice system is they don't address the underlying reason. They just label people as addicts or thieves, or I'm a gambling addict, or whatever it may be, and they don't address what the actual reason was. And that's, in that regard, that's, prison did me good because I was able to come to terms with what my issue was. And it's like you said, I'm always going to have that addictive mindset, and it's replacing it with something positive. So
right.
Even now in my life today, I don't think it's a coincidence that I gamble less when I'm playing softball and playing basketball and golfing and things like that. That's my competition. I fulfill it in a positive way. I'm less prone to want to be in the casino or be gambling or sports betting or whatever, because I get what I need out of something that's positive.
And was it a point in your life where you said, I'm going to walk away, and you just couldn't?
Yeah, there were a bunch of points. A kind of side note on my story is that, there were so many people that I got involved. If you were in my circle and you are a friend of mine, and you came to me and you knew what I was doing and you asked for help or to be put on, I never told anybody no. That was a big issue with my crime, was anybody that asked that, hey, can you give me some merchandise? Can you give me some memorabilia, or my car payments due, or my house mortgage is due? Can I sell it? I never told anybody no. And I remember laying in bed one night thinking there's no way this ends, because all these people, even if I have an exit strategy to get into real, genuine, honest money and an honest business or whatever, there's all these people under me that have no exit strategy, that are, some of them had become drug addicts. Some of them are paying mortgages and taking care of kids and car payments. And I'm like, how do I get out? How do I just cut these people off? They became reliant upon me. And in that regard, like, I felt responsible. And again, that doesn't justify what I did, but there was very much like, there was a point in time where I dreaded waking up in the morning because I knew I was going to look at my phone and it was just going to be a bunch of text messages like, hey, send me 200 photos, send me 100 baseballs. Hey, I need this, I need that. I knew it every morning, and I dreaded it. And you know, it's funny to say, like, there's two sides of the day my house got raided, which was December 1st, 2014. Is, you know, there was obviously the worst day of my life because that's when it all comes crashing down. But at the same time, there's almost a peace of mind to it because it's like, it's over.
Right.
It's over. And the same thing, really, the day I got sentenced. So obviously there's a lot of legal stuff that went on in between. If my house got raided December 1st, 2014, I got sentenced on April 11th, 2017. And my plea deal was a 3 to 7 year plea deal. My attorney expected me to get 3 years. I got 6. So obviously that was devastating. But even at that time, like, once I got back into the county jail, got into my cell, there was really a sense of peace. Like, hey, now it's just about doing this time. It's finally over. I finally know what it is. I was facing 47 years. I got 6. Like, now it's time to just sit it down, and I know what the final outcome is.
It kind of felt like you was at peace. And I remember when I was locked up and I came home, I told my dad, like, I didn't want to leave jail due to the fact that I didn't have no expectations in jail. Didn't nobody need nothing from me in jail. Didn't nobody want anything from me in jail. You know what I'm saying? And when you were saying about waking up every morning, somebody wanted something from you. You know what I'm saying? And people don't understand when you caught in the middle of some things that you don't want to do, and then you have all these people that's relying on you, but you got an exit plan, but they don't have one, and you like, man, I'm gonna get out of this. But then if I get out of it, how I'm gonna take care of this person, that person, that person? What's gonna happen with them? You know what I mean? So I can relate to you, and I hope it's some fans out there or people that's listening to us that can relate to that, because I wanted to get out so many times. But my thing was, man, if I get out, how I'm going to take care of this person, or how this person here going to get taken care of. And I'm not talking about family members. It's just people that you had just gathered this relationship with, and they start relying on you, and you saying to yourself, because it was a moment in time that I woke up and looked in the mirror and looked at myself and said, I hate you. I hated myself. I hated me because I didn't recognize who I was. But, you know, once I put them clothes on, took the shower, I put the face on. Pow. Put the face on, now I'm back out doing. People didn't understand that I was really inside, man. I was fighting this man inside of me. And the first time that you can lie to the man in the mirror, you got a fucking problem. And I was lying to the man in the mirror. And I know you have lied to the man in the mirror a bunch of times too. And I understand it. You know, because, man, to get up every morning and look at that person, then you know you're doing some fucked up shit, man, that's really tough.
Yeah, no, you know, I look back at those times and I'm like, you know, the people that surrounded me, like, they don't even really know who I am, because that's not who I was.
That's not who you are.
Me, like, not having a purpose in life. Me, like, obviously, like we talked about, I lost my career. I'm like, who am I now? What am I? And I'm searching for an identity, because I really have no purpose. I don't know. And you know, so really I can almost say, like, I created this altar to be in the clubs and in the casinos and surrounded by an entourage. And like, I look back, like, all that shit is like so frivolous and unmeaningful. And none of those people I was surrounded by are in my life now. You know, they come and go with the wind, and they really mean nothing. But that's the life I lived back then. And, you know, in that regard, prison did me a lot of good, because that really, you know, I have a purpose in life now, and I have a clear agenda and a focus on, you know, who I am, and it changed me in that regard. Did it take 6 years? Like, no, it definitely didn't take 6 years. I learned pretty early on. I ain't going back. But it definitely did me some good.
Yeah. And so tell me what's going through your mind. It's interesting listening to both you guys, because I don't think, you know, people really understand, you know, that, You know, when you become an athlete, you made it to the highest level, or you know, not just that responsibility, but the added responsibility of not just your family, your friends, the hood, your city. I mean, all that weighs on you, man. You know what I mean? So people don't understand. You know, it took me a long time to say no to people. You know what I mean? Because I figured if they were asking and I said no, I wouldn't give them a chance. And you know, it takes I think you know feeling like you are being used and people are taking advantage of you. You know, and we're all different. At what point do we get in our life? You know, what age are we able to understand that you know it's okay to say no. You know, you know you're not you making it. It's not up to you to save the world or your whole city or you know it's you know it took me a long time to understand that too. You know what I mean? And you know because first things you know you hear you say when you make it because people's expectations are you're just not giving them something, so you must be a buster or you must be a sellout or you know you ain't down for the hood because you know you just ain't giving people stuff. You know what? I used to tell them when I became to that when I became you know to that point in my life. I was like, damn, man, I don't remember him taking me to practice. I don't remember him buying me shoes. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't, but everyone expects you to get something from nothing. You know what I mean? They just think you have an abundance of something that will never run out that they're welcome to, you know? I've had people that I've loaned money that they you know, reciprocated and given it back. And I've had other people that I've loaned money and they had the audacity to come back and ask again. I'm like, now, man, hey, the first time it's shame on you. Now after this, it's shame on me. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? When you have no intention to pay it back, the second time, you know what? It'd be different if you didn't already owe me some money. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you didn't already owe me some money, it might be different. But you know when you think about it, so how old were you when you actually had to serve? You know when you had to turn yourself in? How?
So I got sentenced April 11, 2017. So I just turned 31.
So at 31, I mean, walk me through that day. I mean, what was it like for you on that day? Because I have family members that have been incarcerated and in and out. And I know it's real because, like you said, I don't think they do a good enough job of preparing them for life after incarceration. You know what I mean? And I can see where that the mental health sticks with people, and it's a daily struggle. It's like a lot of guys said, they'd rather be the expectations inside is just to survive. The world is too much pressure for them. So on that day that you had to, turn yourself in, and you knew this is going to be the beginning of, this chapter of your life. What was that like?
So it's a big component is, I did all my time in Ohio. So Nevada didn't want the case. The feds dropped the case. I ended up doing all my time in state prison in Ohio with my family out here in Nevada. And by my family, I mean, when I moved out here, I brought my mom, my dad, my grandma all with me out here. Unfortunately, both my grandma passed away and my dad actually passed away 20 days before I got sentenced. That's a big part of the case is they kind of leveraged his health into my plea deal. So that's a big component of it is not only was I dealing with, the loss of my freedom, something I still struggle with today is like I really never got to grieve the loss of my father. How do you grieve the loss of one of the two closest people in your life when, hey, I just got sentenced to prison, right? You kind of got to man up, wear it, and go do what you got to do. But at the same time, like I had just left my mother out here in Nevada by herself. She, in a 3-week period, loses her husband of 30 years and her son. And like I said, we kind of expected I was going to get 3 or 4 years, be eligible for some type of early release. The way it falls, I get the 6 years, and I do every day of it, day for day. But, as devastating as it is, one, like you said, there's a certain peace of mind because now I knew what the final outcome was. I knew it was 6 years, and I'm doing day for day 6 years, and that's the end. The other side of it is I just have to kind of wear it and be strong and keep my head up because I gotta stay composed for the sake of my mother. I gotta be strong for her, because she's dealing with the loss too. I'm the one that lost my freedom, but they always say, the people that are with you, they're doing that time with you, and it's true. It is dead ass true. They're doing that time with you.
Hey man, what you did is to survive. May have been criminal to some people, but at that time to you, it was the way you needed to survive, and you did it. Instead of incarcerating you, they should have found a way to help you. You know what I mean? Because all our addictions isn't criminal, but they are mental problems. That's all they are. They are mental problems. And God bless you, man, for coming through it the way you came through it.
If there's, Cliff,
that's what I spoke on a little bit. Is they don't want. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead, Cliff. It's on you. Go ahead. It's on you.
I'm saying that's just what I spoke on a little bit. Is the system doesn't want to address the underlying cause of what the issue is, and they just see what the final outcome is, what the crime is. They see the drug addict or the thief or the alcoholic or whatever it may be, and they don't want to address what is the root cause of that. Because, I still don't believe that inherently people don't wake up in the morning and they're just like, hey, I'm going to be a piece of shit today.
No.
Right? There's some underlying mental cause of that.
Right.
And that's putting it bluntly, but that's the reality of it is. And like you spoke on, I always say, and I'm on social media, I'm on TikTok, and there's all the people in society that are like, you're just a felon, you're just a criminal, you're always going to be a piece of shit. And I always say, like, man, if you get a detective or a prosecutor that wants you to go to prison, you're going to prison.
You going.
And that transcends race, sex, demographic, wealth, whatever. Mm-hmm. If you piss off the wrong person, they want you to go to prison, you're going to prison, whether you did something wrong or not. Like you said, like you beat some other charges, well, they were going to find a way to still get you. It may not have been on that, and it might have been fabricated or whatever it may have been, but they were getting you.
Because the first thing,
same thing for me. It's not to say I'm innocent, because I'm definitely not innocent. But the charges they put on me are trumped up, and it's all to leverage the plea deal because they can't go to trial and everything like that. And that's what happens in the criminal justice system. Like, am I really supposed to be facing 47 years for a nonviolent first offense? Like, come on, let's be serious. And, a side part of my crime is that, if I get charged federally, I go to a white collar Fed prison and, kick my feet up like I'm Wolf of Wall Street and play tennis and croquet and shit. But instead I get charged on the state level. And I mean, you know what the difference is going to the state level. Like, there's no separation of crime. So now I'm in it. And, I ain't got many complaints about my time. My time was smooth and I was very productive. But, there's residual effects from that are long lasting. The way I had to live, the way I had to survive, the persona I took on to be in there. Mm-hmm. But that's a difference that, detectives and prosecutors, they don't think about that. They don't think about the difference in, one of my first cellmates when I get to prison is doing life without parole because he shot his wife in the face with a shotgun. I'm like, hey, I signed counterfeit sports memorabilia. What'd you do? Oh, I killed my wife. Yeah, that's my cellmate. I'm like, and how do you go to sleep at night knowing this guy's in my cell 2 years in on a sentence where he's never going home?
Right.
And he's like delusional, not even accepting what had happened yet. What if, this is the night he wakes up and is like, I've had enough.
Fuck this.
And that's things you deal with in there.
Bro, hey man, you did what you had to do at the time that you had to do it. You went and took care of your time, man, and look what's happening now, man. You're getting attention from everywhere. Like, hey man, keep doing what you're doing, because whatever you're doing right now, you're doing it well.
And I can speak on that because I know him. You know what I mean? Whatever reason, he's in my life now. I mean, he's a good dude.
Great dude.
You know what I mean? I utmost respects the way he treats people, and I don't see him doing the wrong thing. And like I said, I'm just glad that Cliff just came into my life, and because I know because we still talk about baseball all the time. I mean, he still loves it. He still lives it. What's this like?
In his face. Look at him. Smile.
What was this like? Or what? being from Ohio, me playing for the Reds, what's this like? Playing against that person, and you know what I mean. Like I said, man, God put him in my life for a reason, and hopefully vice versa. But like I said, man, I feel bad because like you said, when you get out, you're labeled. Just like in a sport, you can't play defense, whatever the negative thing they can put on you. You can't hit for power, or you can't do this, and you think that's tough. But how come coming out and being you're an ex-con, you're a felon, you can't vote, you have no rights, you have all these things that are, that people died for that are taken from you. And I'm not saying, I agree. If we all make mistakes, we all, if we do the crime,
you're supposed to do the time.
You're supposed to do the time.
That's understandable, bro.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, but when you're trying to come back and and adjust to life after prison, it just seems like, there should be some more avenues and certain, like agencies to help you. I understand they say we have them, but, no transportation. Here's a bus ticket to get across 2 city limits, or you're going back to prison because you didn't show up on time, right. And the job, and you got to report. So, I mean, the odds are stacked up against you too when you come out, and so, I mean, since you've been out, what is it like to, what was your thinking on that last day when you got to go home? Walk us through that last day.
I mean, so the way Ohio's set up is they actually make you go through a halfway house for 6 months, which is kind of just another financial scam part of the criminal justice system.
Jail.
So I was kind of like in society a little bit. But my actual release date was actually, ironically enough, July 4th, 2022. So I got out on Independence Day. I didn't get back to Vegas till July 8th. But really, more than anything, and you can probably relate to this in a athletic standpoint, was like everything I did to prepare to get out mentally, like business-wise, like I was just like chomping at the bit to hit the street to like start the next chapter of my life, just like you would do, like I did in baseball. It's like all your preparation, all your training, all the weight room work, like nobody sees all that. And you're just waiting to kind of like explode on the scene and be like, this is what I did in the off season while you weren't watching. Well, this is like what I worked on and prepared for 6 years while I was was to hit the ground at this moment and like become as successful as I can, as quickly as I can. And, to touch on, the way, society kind of views us as ex-cons and felons is, there's always bad apples. There's people that get out that don't want to change their life and they're going to be back in the streets and everything like that. But you find a felon that wants to change his life, has changed his life, wants to live legitimately. They're some of the most hardworking, trustworthy, loyal, reliable, talented, intelligent people that you'll find in society. And society as a whole not giving those people a chance is just a detriment to not only that person, but to society as a whole. And I found it, in my business that I run now and the things I'm doing, I've done more bad business with people that aren't felons than the people I try and help that are ex-cons that want to live legitimately. And, it's just, when you go through that adversity and you overcome that adversity, you have a respect for some other people that, when you see they legitimately want to change their life, like you respect that and you have that connection and you're like willing to help and work together and you respect it, through and through.
Did you go through a stage where you didn't want to really deal with the public at all?
So I really, in today's day and age, and I came back to, obviously all the changes in social media and TikTok and Instagram and all that. And I caught some success on TikTok while I was in the halfway house, and I grew a pretty big audience. And I very early on, there's a lot of the negativity and the, you're a felon, you're a piece of shit, all that. And I just decided early on that, because I'm in the public's eye, like I was just going to wear that and respond to it positively, because there's other people out there that, if you're a little bit less mentally strong and you have people in society that are just beating you down every day, like, you you're a piece of shit. You can't do anything but work minimum wage. And they're just pile it on day after day after day. Eventually, you're going to believe it. And that's what happens to a lot of people that carry that felon moniker in their name out here in society is like, hey, society tells me I'm a piece of shit, so I'm going to be a piece of shit. And I just chose to, tell my story in the public eye. And when I encounter the negativity like that, like off camera, does it bother me sometimes? Do I get upset? Like, yeah, probably. There's sometimes I want to snap back and talk some bullshit.
Right.
But the reality is, like, I keep it very positive in the public eye. And when I respond to comments, it's, I just tell my story in a positive way because I'm like, I'll wear that and kind of carry that weight to show that, like, you don't have to listen to that nonsense. You don't have to, sell yourself short of what your dreams or goals are just because some nobody in society looks to you and says, hey, you're a felon, you can't be successful. Because that's just not true.
That's true. We're glad that you came on our show. We have a thing that we say about our show. It's called Breaking Chains and Building Dreams. And you are a person that's broke your chain and you building your dream. And God bless you for coming on Life After Sports, man. Thank you.
And like I said, for me, man, he's like a little homie. He's like a little brother to me, man. Because like I said, this dude right here, man, he love him some baseball. He love, just how excited he gets, we're in each other's presence, and it's not about me. It's about him being able to just ask questions about, what it was like to play baseball, or, but he also asks, and he always asks to make sure if I'm good, so that's the difference between people when they, they want to make sure you're okay too. You know what I mean? And, like I said, man, he, I appreciate him for, coming on here. You're definitely, a class act, man. Like, and that's my opinion. I don't care what society wants to call you or anybody else wants to call you. Like you said, there's so many people out here that are way more evil than anything that you have done. You know what I mean? And those are the dangerous ones. So, with that being said, man, I want to thank you for coming on Life After Sports 23, and you're a lifer now, man. You're going to be on all the time. Hey, you know what? Hey, we got a production company back here, too, so we're going to have two autobiographies going on between you and James, man. Yeah, anything further, Cliff, that you want,
just real quickly touch on it. I'm sure you guys see the shirt. So this is actually my brand, the iconic brand. And the slogan I use is turning cons into icons. And the brand is really what has become my purpose. So there's not really anything for monetary gain, but I do a lot with the brand as far as telling my story, trying to tell those, that come after me, inspire those that come after me. And, I'm trying to do a lot for guys that are reintegrating into the system as far as finding jobs, giving people jobs. I'm an entrepreneur that I run an e-commerce business. I'm trying to pass on that knowledge and information. I'm working on a master class that I'm going to give to fellow ex-cons and felons for free. So that's really what's become my purpose in life, is what the brand stands for. And it's really setting the example and teaching as many people I can how to overcome, the systemic nonsense from society of putting felons down and still get out there and still accomplish big goals, dreams, and aspirations. And just as I started this conversation, I always say I'm so open to talk about my story and my past because I'm confident in my present and what my purpose is now. So, I'll leave you guys with that. I appreciate you guys giving me the platform to come on and tell my story and hit your guys' audience. And, this guy right here, I can't say how appreciative I am. I was able to meet you and share some stories, and man, great guy right here. And I appreciate everything you've done and to have me in your life and on your show and everything like that. I truly appreciate it.
Hey, back at you. And the gear is fire, man. I need to get some of that.
You know what I mean? You got to get some big shirts.
Yeah, definitely. You know what? I now that I'll represent, you know what I mean? If you see me most of the time, I don't have anything on my, there's nothing on, you know what I mean? If it's not 23 Wines, it's my wine. Vaughn's Valley is my foundation. But, that is going to make a difference. And I would love to be part of that and represent what you're trying to do because we need more people like you out there that's, that have
been through something.
Yeah, been through something because everyone has a story. But, you've changed the narrative, and you're turning that negative into a positive, and that's what breaking chains is all about. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I appreciate it, guys. For your audience, like I said, it's ironic that, your podcast is Life After Sports. My main platform is TikTok. I'm Life After Prison. You can also find me on IG, C Panezich, and my brand is iconicbrandclothing.com.
We're gonna cross market. Don't you
Definitely.
know? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I was just giving you the soundbite if you want to use it.
Hey, no. Hey, get it out there. Get it out there.
Get it out there, bro.
Sure.
Yeah, get it out there. Hey, but thanks again, man. And I'm sure I'll see you this week somewhere for dinner.
Hey,
Greg.
come on with us, man. He owed me a steak from the 49ers
Hey,
game.
actually, I was supposed to ask you, Greg, because I'm on my way out the door right now. If you want to come DH for my softball team tonight, that's what my guys told me.
Hey, man, he can't hit the golf ball right now.
Hey, you know what? I had reverse shoulder replacement, or I would be out there. You know what? If it wasn't so cold, I'd come out there and heckle you guys. You know what I mean? But it's a little too cold right now, even in Vegas.
Hey, every year round, man, I'll be out there. We'll have to get you out there sometime.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate you, Cliff. Thanks, dog.
God
All right,
bless.
thank you,
I
Cliff.
appreciate you guys, man.
God bless, brother.
Peace.
All right.
Thank you.
This has been Life After Sports.